All right, guys, who's ready to break down the surprises of week 5 and the studs and duds that maybe you weren't expecting this week? Stay with us here on Vegas Guys Locker Room as we check in on all of it. Hey guys, I'm your host Jay. As always, here with the Vegas Guys Locker Room, we are breaking down week 5 with our studs, duds, and waiver wire pickups that we like for the week. I know usually me and Big Time Sean do the show. Fortunately, Big Time Sean has some other prior engagements. It will just be me, so this will be a quick show. I'm a little under the weather, been feeling sick the last few days, but I'm going to try to do my best, power through, and get you guys the information maybe you're looking for. But first, guys, comment below who you thought your studs and duds of the week were. Give me one from each position if you want. Give me the guy you were really relying on having a big game to get you that W this week that really let you down, Dontavion Wicks. Jesus. Anyways, guys, today, not a whole lot of injury news going on this season, a lot of small nagging injuries going on for some players, much expected here. A quarter way through, but a third way through the season. But we did get news on Rashee Rice. It's official. He is going to be done for the season. Huge hit, especially to me. I had him in fantasy. Really took a gamble on him to avoid the suspension and play well in that Kansas City offense. He was on pace for a great year, and unfortunately, it is done. Thanks a lot, Patrick Mahomes. Jesus, another reason why I don't like the Kansas City Chiefs. Well, without further ado, let's get into our studs of the week. Studs of the week, hey, listen, I've talked about Darnell Mooney here the last few weeks until he was one of my big waiver wire pickups. Got a lot of flack online about that choice, but it seems like he is a every week starter now. You have to put him in your lineup. It's getting better. Like I said, Kirk Cousins, the healthier he gets, the more comfortable he gets in his offense, the better they're starting to look. Darnell Mooney was huge last Thursday with Kirk Cousins and his 500-yard game. Next one up is Rico Dowdle. Big shocker coming out because, listen, the Dallas Cowboys, nobody knew who the running back was going to be in that situation there. And if you're like me, I didn't think he was capable of having a breakout game. I didn't know if he was talented enough, but he did have a good game against a very good defense in the Pittsburgh Steelers. Does this solidify him as the number one back there in Dallas? Wait to see. If anything, if you're picking him up, you know he's going to be a viable start because they will rely on him the next. He's got another tough matchup going for him this week in Detroit, but with that last week's performance, he's going to get reliability. So you know they're going to try to give him the ball, give him every opportunity to be successful. So if you're going to play Rico Dowdle, probably a good bet he's going to see a majority of the snaps. At quarterback studs, couldn't go with just one because I thought it was going to be Kirk Cousins after his huge Thursday night performance of 500 yards, really carrying the Atlanta Falcons to that victory. But then Joe Burrow comes in and says, not so fast. I'm still the man. Let me go ahead and throw for 5 TDs. Had a big week, but still got the L. Man, the Cincinnati Bengals really struggling to get some W's on the board. But those are my two guys that I really thought were the studs of the week. What do you think? Who is your big studs of the week? Make sure we comment below, guys. Now, the duds, these are the most important ones. Biggest one, like I said before, Dontavion Wicks. He was a big pickup of mine. Loved him. He got the targets, especially with Romeo Doubs not being in the lineup. Man, did he have trouble catching that ball. And it's kind of been his MO going, since he'd been in the league. He can't catch the ball on a consistent basis. Hopefully he still gets the looks. He knows how to get open. He just needs to get that ball secure and just make the catch. Come on, man. It's a receiver. You got to receive the ball first. Next one, Marvin Harrison Jr. Been a tough year. His catch rate is below 50%. And it's not looking like him and Kyler Murray on a lot of the same pages a lot of times. Yes, it looked good on that 4th down conversion this past week against the Niners. What something is off with Harrison Jr. and Kyler Murray. It's just not clicky. Better than with his connection with Michael Wilson has been much better. Catching over 70% catch rate. He is running shorter routes. Michael Wilson only averaging about 11 yards. And it looks like Marvin Harrison target share is about 16 yards. So a little bit shorter, a little bit easier throws, but the catch rate is so significant. It's a little disturbing for Marvin Harrison. It's another dud. He's only had one really good week where you were happy to have him. Other than that, man, if he's not finding the end zone, it's really, really tough to start. I don't know what to do with him going forward. Hopefully he's one of those rookies that blows up in the second half of the season and gets you a league winner. Hopefully he can float this until you get to that point, and hopefully he comes through for you in the end. Another big one was Breece Hall. He's been such a disappointment. In fact, all three of the running backs that people liked going early in drafts, CMC hasn't seen the field yet so far this season. Breece Hall's been a disappointment for a team that could run the ball all over the place last season. Can't seem to get the run game going anymore. Bijan Robinson has not been spectacular. Has not been a first-round pick. None of these guys are in the top 10 as far as running backs. And it's been a real tough test for these guys. I'm not sure, man. It's been a tough go. I'm not sure the running back situations in either one are going to improve. I think the best bet is Bijan going forward. I think he looks a little more comfortable. I think that offense is going to get better. Breece Hall, I'm a little concerned of, especially when he was the second running back taken off the board behind CMC. But who do you think's been the biggest bust so far this year? Bijan Robinson or Breece Hall? Neither one have been great, but you took them with high picks. Which one do you think is the bigger? And let's take them one step further. Who do you think is going to end the year with more fantasy points? Bijan or Breece? Right now, I tend to lean more towards Bijan being the better running back at the end of the year. But man, it's not looking good for either one of them, especially where you took them in drafts. Now, I usually will go through some stories and talk a little football with me and Big Time Sean, but since he's not here today, we're just going to skip that. We'll talk about it next week, especially with Raiders struggles, the 49ers struggles. We'll get into that. Some of the other news that's going on in the NFL this week, we'll recap it and go through it and see if it's a continuous issue next week. And see if there's anything that we can look forward to as hope for these two teams and other stories going on in the NFL. Right now, I'm going to go through my waiver wire pickups. Top one right now, Tyrone Tracy. Looks great. 18 carries, 129. Did not find the end zone, but with Moore, Singletary still kind of held up, he could see the bulk of the carries. And listen, there's always one rookie running back that makes a huge difference in fantasy every year. Could Tracy be that guy? I know there's a couple guys that we were relying on. You haven't seen Brooks in Carolina yet. Could Tracy be the guy, that one running back, that rookie running back that really breaks through in his rookie season? Curious if Singletary is out for another week and Tracy has another big game. Does this eat away and maybe it becomes a split, or does Tracy take control of the backfield? Let me know what you think. Next one, Tank Bigsby. Tank Bigsby, listen, a lot of people made fun of Tank Bigsby, but his snap count has gone up each week. And remember when they drafted him, the whole thing about drafting him was to take a lot of the load off of Travis Etienne. Etienne's snap count has gotten lower every week. I know right now he's dealing with an injury, did not have a great game, didn't see a lot of the receiving work. But could you see Tank Bigsby getting in there more often for, spells or big-time running plays, especially when you get inside the red zone? He's a bigger back, went 13 for 101 and 2 touchdowns. Like I said, his snap count is increasing, and he's looked impressive these last couple weeks. I know that the schedule for running defense is much easier the next couple weeks, so picking up, if you need a running back to harbor some of these injuries, he could be a nice fit. Look for Tank Bigsby in your league. He should be available in most. This one's more for next week and only next week. Darius Slayton. If Malik Neighbors is out, Darius Slayton is a great pickup. Malik Neighbors is planning on playing next week. He'll probably fade this. Don't even worry about picking him up. He's going to fade into the distance. Wan'Dale Robinson should keep his role. He looked steady again last week. Another one of my waiver wire pickups that I got made fun of on the internet for, but he's looked good so far this season. Darius Slayton, on the other hand, I don't know. If Malik Neighbors is in there, he's not existing. No Malik Neighbors next week, you can see another big game out of him. He had 11 targets, 8 for 122 and a touchdown. Look for Darius Slayton if you're a Malik Neighbors holder, because he should be hyper-targeted as he was this past week. Well, guys, on top of everything else, let me know who your big waiver wire pickups for this week are, and who do you expect this next week's blow-up to be? This could be a huge week. A lot of people are making moves. Hopefully in your league, you're still in the playoff race, and you're making moves consistently to improve your team. But remember, follow us here every Tuesday as we break down the past week's studs and duds and waiver wire pickups with me and Big Time Sean. And follow me for Fridays. I will be putting out the start list. I got to get better at that, I know. It's a tough week trying to fit that in with my schedule, but I will do better and hopefully get those out to you every Friday. And also look for us next week. Starting next week, we're going to start covering hockey. Me and my old man, as we've done in the past, we'll look at the Golden Knights and other news going around the league as far as fantasy implications and who do we like going forward this NHL season. Well, anyways, guys, please follow us on Instagram. I'm the biggest guy, Jay. I put up videos every day trying to help you out with your fantasy knowledge. And look for us on our audio-only podcast if you don't have time to watch a video. Follow us along there, audio only, wherever you get your podcast. And until next time, guys, thanks for always watching. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you in the next one.
Hey, it's Jesse from the Biggest Guys Locker Room. You guys ever thought about starting your own podcast? Whether it be for business, personal, or simply talking about the things you love? Well, I can honestly say when we started our podcast, it was the best decision and it's the most fun we've ever had. But starting a new podcast can be overwhelming at times. And that's where Buzzsprout comes in. Buzzsprout is the best way to start your own professional podcast. They're so good, they've already helped out over 100,000 podcasters get their message out to the world. Buzzsprout offers you so many tools, like a great-looking podcast website, audio players that you can drop into other websites, detailed analytics to see how people are listening, and tools to promote your episodes, and more and more and more. Buzzsprout even gets your show listed on every major podcast platform, such as Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Google Podcasts. They provide so many tools to help you get started with tutorials on YouTube, podcast tutorials, everything you may need to get your journey started. So if you're looking to start your professional podcast today, follow the link in the show notes. This lets Buzzsprout know that we sent you and help support our show. Buzzsprout, the easiest way to start a podcast.